What's happening, YouTube? A little bit of a different video, as you can tell from the title, but I'm gonna be explaining to the best of my abilities why you shouldn't be using AI and why I don't use it. So, if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna get straight into it. My first point here is unsupervised learning. Now, unsupervised learning is a framework in a machine learning, well, sorry, in regards to Wikipedia's definition of it. I know that's not always the best source, but I think it's got a pretty good definition. It's pretty clear. But unsupervised learning is a framework in a machine learning where, in contrast to supervised learning, algorithms learn patterns exclusively from unlabeled data. Other frameworks in the spectrum of supervisions include weak or semi-supervision, where a small portion of the data is tagged, and self-supervision. Some researchers consider self-supervised learning a form of unsupervised learning. So what we just read means if you could picture it as like the AI is a dog, right? They're letting it off the leash. They're letting it learn from its own like experiences, its own like, chat boxes, whatever it may be, right? As you can imagine, or I don't know if you can, but as you can imagine, this leads to some nightmare scenarios and stuff that I've heard about in real life happening. Um, anyone can train these AI when they're in this phase. Children, otherwise vulnerable people, can be talked into suicide, others egged into committing acts of violence. I know people in real life, dude, that have attempted to use ChatGPT as a therapist. I just want to let you guys know, AI is trained to essentially tell you what you want to hear, oftentimes misleading an already lost person, dude. Straight up. Talk to friends if you can't find therapy. Any human interaction is more valuable than a million AI interactions, dude. And that's facts. Okay, so I want to start this next section of the video um, with this. Just a quote. Technology is never neutral. It reflects and reinforces the values of those who develop it. Let's unpack that. Who right now is making all this technology? Who right now is benefiting from the industry of this technology? If you answered mostly white businessmen, you'd be correct. So, before we get any further, I'd also like to add a bit more context to this. Let's see. So there's a well-documented, persistent, and growing racial wealth gap between African American families and white families in the United States. Studies indicate the median white family in the United States holds more than 10 times the wealth of the median African American family. That's fucking crazy, y'all. Like, regardless of what we're about to talk about, this is already an issue, right? Believe me or not, AI makes this fucking worse. So here we could also read, as determined in our previous report on the racial wealth gap, African Americans start from a deprived position in the workforce with an unemployment rate twice that of workers, a pattern that persists even when controlling for education, duration of employment, and the cause of unemployment. And coming from also a Latino perspective, this also affects us. This affects basically any person of color trying to get into jobs in America because we find ourselves typically in what they call support roles. Think of customer service representative, think of delivery driver, think of things like that nature, right? We all collectively end up going there while white people are historically more likely to go for business, easy jobs, easy money, etc. And what do those jobs have in common with AI right now? There's a lot of those jobs, like for example, you go to like a gas station nowadays, there's a self-checkout there. They're trying to essentially get rid of as many employees as possible through the use of AI. This is a growing problem and it's going to get worse throughout the years if we keep leaning on AI for everything, basically. I'd also like to come back to this, the myth of tech neutrality. as mentioned here in this article. All of these articles are linked in the description below if you'd like to read up for yourself. This is just kind of more of like a digestible kind of quick vid to inform y'all. But um, back to that, technology is never neutral. It reflects and reinforces the values of those who develop it. However, we believe that technology is more than a container for existing social biases. It is also a tool that can actively contribute to or exacerbate racism. This insight is grounded in the work of scholars like Dorothy Roberts, who documented how scientists have reinforced and redefined common sense understandings of race throughout history, and Simone Brown, who outlined how surveillance technologies emerged out of the desire to monitor and control black bodies. So, quick side here. AI is very bad at particularly detecting black faces. In a society where, we're living in the US, where even law enforcement is starting to use facial recognition and stuff like that, that has already caused mix-ups. That has already caused issues, and I'm sure, the people making these AI don't really care about making, the AI differentiate between different black folk, you know? It's actually crazy that, people aren't seeing this like side of AI or this side that like the robot is actually racist. Like this goes back to months ago. There was like a tweet from Grok, like unprompted. He was like talking about the Aryan race, dude. It's fucking absurd. Especially in the society we're living in today, dude. We can't keep letting this happen. One of the last points I want to bring up here is actually from this article by Adam Mahoney here. Shout outs to him. Great article here. Um, but historically, this will be important in a moment. But 90 years ago, President Franklin D. Roosevelt and South Carolina Governor Ibra Blackwood worked together to bring electricity to rural South Carolina. But to build the power plant that would make it happen, they destroyed the homes of 900 black sharecropping families. With them, 6,000 graves, including those of formerly enslaved people, were removed or desecrated. Now, this is relevant to what's going on today because that's essentially what's going on. Um, I'm trying to find the source article here, but essentially, from my understanding, the government is giving like 500 billion or something to the AI industry. Um, the energy costs are going to soar. Like, so already a bad situation is going to get worse. Okay, I found it. So it's here. So compounding these issues, data centers are expected to use 12% of the nation's energy by 2028, a 550% increase from last year. An artificial intelligence search using ChatGPT, for example, uses anywhere from 10 to 30 times more energy than a regular internet search. This shit is killing our planet, dude. And in South Carolina, officials predict data centers will drive 70% of the state's increased energy use, with subsidies already raising utility bills for consumers. Though it's canvassing across the state, Boatwright said he now regularly sees rural mobile home communities where people are paying more for their utility bills than mortgages because of this increase. And it's beautifully put here by this guy. It's kind of like you go out and your employer is paying for your dinner, and your order is the fanciest stuff on the menu, explained Green, who researches how rising utility bills are pushing southern black communities into poverty. You don't really have to worry about how expensive it is because it's not coming out of your pocket. That's how these companies are operating. They're not holding the risk associated with increasing costs and these new power plants. You are. You, the citizen. You, the taxpayer. All right? You in a low income community. Me, like us collectively. We're all paying for this shit. We're all allowing this shit to happen. We can, dude. That's where I stand. But thank y'all for watching this a little bit more of a serious video. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe we could have a discussion or something. Um, but yeah, hope y'all like the video. Don't expect too many videos like this, but I just really wanted to make my stance like clear on this shit. And even though I know my audience is pretty small right now, but you know, also for future reference, I'll send motherfuckers this video if I really don't feel like explaining what AI is or like why I have an issue with it. So yeah, thank y'all for watching. Peace.